I can't live with not trying. I can't live with not sending it. Technically, if somebody wasn't afraid of anything, they would just do it. So it's like, why can't I do it? Because you're afraid of something. You're afraid of it not being good enough. You're afraid of being judged. And it never goes away. You just get better at handling that fear. So like, is 90-year-old version of you gonna cry like, oh, you didn't do this, whatever, because you were scared? But then you always get what you get. So if you don't do it, you'll die not doing it. You only get the aura when you say, fuck everybody, I'm just gonna do it naturally as me doing me. And I'm gonna love that for the perfection that it is. You get these edges by doing shit. So it's like, you just gotta do shit. You know, that's how you win. That's how you can be creative.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Side Hustle Experiment Podcast. Today we're joined by Grant Lannon. He generated millions of dollars in profit online, expert in sales, marketing. And I bought his coaching program about a year and a half ago. And that's a large reason I'm not selling on Amazon anymore, because it kind of opened my perspective on stuff. So very happy to have him on, long awaited. What's up, dude?
What up? How's it going, Drew? Great to see you. John, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, man. Thanks for doing this.
Okay. Guys.
So give us a little intro. Give the people, tell them who you are.
I mean, your intro was solid. So I grew up, poor little black boy, was born ass first. No, I'm just kidding. I'm in my head, I'm a sales guy first and foremost. So I have ran a bunch of different businesses at various levels, but in my heart, I would say I'm sales. So I had a sales job like 2 years. I ended up failing a marketing company when I was like 21, had to get a sales job, ended up there for 2 years, was top rep the whole time. And that's when I realized like, oh, wow, like I'm good at this. Because I knew I was intuitively, but I didn't really know that I was until I had compared myself to the masses. And I was like 3 reps in one. I was like, oh, I am good at this. So then I basically, after that point, I only wanted that job to just grow other businesses. And then I just have ran up a bunch of businesses in a bunch of different industries. So info, I was doing estate planning, SEO, agencies, doing a bunch of stuff. So I feel like I've tried it all.
Yeah, and you're not like, you haven't been on the internet for a long, long time, have you? Because I remember like specifically probably 3 years ago, I DM'd you when you had about 600 followers on Twitter and said, dude, your account's going to blow up. Now you have a ton of followers. And then a year later I messaged you and stuff. But yeah, that wasn't too long ago, right? No,
it was like three years ago. And it was totally by accident. So I was doing the estate planning stuff. And then my friend was doing this thing with a girl. And like, it was just the wrong decision. So I made a rant on TikTok. Well, I was doing like some comedy videos too. So I had a bunch of comedy stuff going off, like little skits and shit. And can we cuss on this?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a bunch of skits and shit. And then I did like a rant. Rant got a couple mil. And then I was like, oh shit. So then I just ran that up because I just saw like, okay, this is a thing. Didn't even know going viral was a thing. So I was just like, well, here's an opportunity. So I just gas pedaled that. So I did 3 a day for like a year, short form videos. And then that blew up. So I hit like 700,000 on TikTok or something. It went back down because I stopped posting. And then at that time, I was just tweeting ideas too. I had originally got onto Twitter for politics. So I was in Portland, Oregon during the COVID stuff. So I'm just spreading everything politically. And then I left Oregon. And then that kind of introduced me into like whatever, money Twitter space, you call it whatever that is. And then ironically, like Ben and Mason had followed me on TikTok and they were like, hey man, we love your stuff. Like, have you been on Twitter? And I was like, I think so. And then I was like, oh yeah, I have a Twitter. And I had followed them. So I was like, oh, I follow you guys. So that was basically it. And then from that point, dude, just a bunch of, we can take it wherever. I've just done a bunch of different shit. In my head, it's like everything for me has been sales oriented because that's my strength. So I've always been like, okay, what is the sales argument here? And what are we going to launch? And then all the other stuff on top of that has just been, in my head, I'm like a sales systems guy. So it's like, what can we sell? If I can see a path for that, I love doing it because for me, that's fucking fun. And then all the other stuff is kind of just figure it out as you go type stuff now, right? And then you kind of just jump levels, you make your first X amount, then you go to the next level, and you go to the next level. And then I think I mentioned to you guys briefly, but I had like one of my best friends like literally killed himself last year, like just shot himself in the head at his house. And I was the last one he texted, like literally sent me the text, I can't do this anymore. I was like, what? And then in hindsight, he had just blasted himself right there. So that really made me, I took a year off from everything after that. And then I was like, I just got to start shooting. So then ironically, that happening kind of made me like play bigger, I would say, mentally. Because, we all run these businesses and they all serve the lifestyle that we want to live. But then at some point you kind of have to like, okay, am I going to live this lifestyle forever? Or am I going to fucking try to shoot and see where I can get to? So I had that moment during that year because I was just traveling around for a year. I didn't really do anything that year. I had like a bunch of clients that I had to service, so I was doing like service shit. But I turned off all the marketing stuff. I was just chilling. So yeah, but we can take it wherever you want to go.
That's funny. The last question I was going to ask you is why do you do things the way you do? But that's a good way to start, I guess. So I've noticed you do these things in like sprints, right? Like you just do a launch, you just kind of disappear. Not even, you don't disappear on socials though. You're always like constantly pumping socials, and then you go, I don't know, bang Latinas or whatever, and then you come back and launch another offer. So like why did you do it that way? And then what do you think's like going to happen in the future where you're like, I'm not going to do it that way anymore?
Yeah, so I think I'll always kind of do it that way. Basically, everything that I've ever done has been downstream of who I am as a person. That's it, right? So like I love sales, I love designing systems, I love talking to people and creating things, and I love the 0 to 1. And then managing a bunch of people, I fucking hate. And then all like admin, I hate all the admin, I hate all that. So I've always either designed my businesses to avoid all of that, or I just get somebody who's ops, the ops king, and then we just work in tandem. That's what I'm doing now. So I'm ops guy, he's going crazy. Like I had to headhunt the shit out of this guy, bro. This guy's good. But like all the other businesses, it's always been life design. So like when I was 21, I had the social skills program like on the side because I had the marketing company. I was running that up, failed that, got a sales job. Then I was doing a bunch of like, I was dating a bunch and doing all that. So I was like, oh, I can turn this into a product. Because I was just going to the club all the time. So I was going to the club, I had my friends, and I'm like, well, let me get paid for this. So then I just created something where I could just do what I was doing anyway. And then I made a bunch of money doing that. So my whole life has kind of been that. I've always started with like, what do I want to do in my life? And then the business has been designed to serve that. And then what happens is for my personality type, I have these like little rungs. I've always done it this way and I don't know why. So like I'll have like, for example, the last program, the very early version was like, can I get this to 100,000 in a month with 0 employees? That was it. And then like, that was way easier than I thought it would be. And that was like, oh shit. Cause I felt like I shot too low when I did. Cause I was like, oh man, that wasn't hard at all. Like an info biz with one with one guy, if you have a good brand and you have a good back end system, you can do 6 figures a month pretty not hard if you design the program correctly. Like if you design all the systems. So I was like, okay. And then that's when my friend basically like killed himself. And I've ran up a bunch of offers on the side as well, like not on brand. So we've done a bunch of cold stuff too. But that's basically it. So how do I want to live my life? And then I feel like I got kind of most of what I wanted like 2 years ago. And then it's just been kind of like, it's just fun for me. I just like doing fun shit, working with fun people. So then I did that for about 2 years. And then recently I was like, okay, it's funny. Sam Matheson, if you know who that is, he, big, like he's in like the social skills world, kind of like a networking dude. He's really cool. I fucking love Sam. But he came here like 2 days ago and we went out and we were hanging out. And he was like, yeah, bro, I think this year for me, it's more like I'm going to have a lot of fun this year. And I was like, I feel like that was me a year ago. And now it's like relock in. So that's kind of where my mind was at. Because what happens, the way that I've thought about it is like, I don't know how it's been for you guys, but even since I was younger, I would basically set this goal. And I'm like, man, I really want to hit this goal. But a lot of the goals that we set, it's basically to prove to ourselves that we can do it, right? It's really just, can I do this? And then for me personally, I always fucking hit them. And it happens earlier than I think that it's going to happen. And then when I get there, I'm like, okay, that was dope. But then I look at the system I'm in and I'm like, oh, it can't get to this level though. So then I shut it down and redesign it. So I've done that like 30 fucking times. But like also for me, it's a design thing because I realize that's kind of what I love to do. So it's like, could I, a business doing 100,000 a month? Great, right? But then it's like, let's say your bases are covered. If you don't want to work more, it's kind of just work, like what are you going to buy? I don't really spend that much money. So then it's like, it just becomes a fun game to hit these levels in these weirdly specific ways. So that idea, now I'm going to try to shoot bigger, obviously, but I just love designing shit, bro. That's how I am. So to answer that, it's just personality type. So I think you have to know who you are and what you like to do. Because what happens is we think we're going to do shit and then it just switches. So like, oh, this business is going to be great, right? Amazon's a good example because I had people crash out to me on this before. Oh, I'm going to make a bunch of money passively with Amazon and blah, 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 right? Then you actually get into it and it's like, oh shit, I'm carrying a fucking fat credit line. Oh, this thing, that's kind of stressful. Oh, this is happening. And you're just like, ah! So then you get there and it's like, okay, what I thought this is a little bit different than what I hoped it would be, but also I did do it, which is great, but then you have a choice. So then it's like, do you fucking fix the problem or do you just keep letting it go? Keep letting it go, right? So I don't know if that answered it, but so to answer your question, I just love building stuff and creating things, which is why like I never wanted a following. I've just always been creative. Like I've made like 2,000 songs. Like I've written like 10,000 songs. Dude, I've just been creating since day one, forever. So like when I was a kid, I edited like thousands of videos because we play like RuneScape. So I'd fucking do like these little music videos. I've just been creating. So like that's what I like to do, and then the business stuff kind of sat on top of that. But the problem is to make a bunch of money with business, you need all the shit that I naturally really disliked, which is like organization, operations, all that shit. And then I just avoided that for a long time until I started getting ops people. So which by the way is why copywriting is the funniest business model to me, because it's like sold as like, oh, get paid to write. And you're creative and you're like, yeah, because that was the first thing I tried at like 21 was fucking copywriting. And then you get into it and it's literally like a 99% ops business and you're never even writing. So I was like, oh shit, I actually hate this, because it's like prospecting clients, finding the clients, closing the deal, researching the project, 10 minutes of writing the project, editing, client. And I'm just like, yo, this actually sucks. So I got scammed by copywriting. I mean, it's a great model for sure, but it's like, ironically, you'd be better doing copywriting as an operator than you would a creative, which is kind of hilarious. But that's how business is, right?
John was a copywriter for a company, like before the online shit, not the copywriter that we even think of, but he did it for like, who'd you work for? Like
it was a magazine. It was Direct Response. Nice. It was an insurance magazine. And like, yeah, it was great at first because you could say all this crazy stuff, but then like as the years went on, like they started cracking down a lot harder of like what you could say, what you could promise, like it was crazy. But yeah, I miss those days. Like literally, it was straight up direct response, like Dan Kennedy style. Like it was a lot of fun.
See, I love that stuff too, and I also have like a vendetta against the OG copywriters, which I don't know if I've ever said publicly, but like they're all like, "Oh, we made so much money." Da, da, da. It's like, bro, I've seen these things. It's like you literally said in a fucking mailer, "We're gonna 2 times your investment." Like you're saying crazy shit with no regulations to normies that have never seen that. So it's like. So I kind of want them to come back now, and then we can compete with them in the real world, because it's like, because now the copy that works is very non-salesy. It's very like genuine. I'm not selling you, and it's very value based. But like, because people see now the fucking we're gonna 2 times. They just go bullshit, you know. So I always laugh at that, because then those old dudes will try to flex on the young dudes. But it's like, bro, you could just say I'm going to triple your investment on a fucking mailer.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was just like, hey, you can 10x, and like no one would read the can part, or like the could, or like there was these little like just words where it's like they're like, oh, I could 10x my money, but it was like I said you can, like, you know what I mean? And then it's like, or the opposite would be like Grant made $100,000 doing this.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you're one out of like 10,000 people that are actually going to make the $100,000. But literally. It was just a lot of fun to write that kind of stuff.
And no one's seen it. So it's like,
exactly
insane. Kind of
it's just like a Word doc PDF that says like, that's like a script with like 10 lines. It's like, if you read this to your customer or your client, they're going to close. And it's like bullshit.
So that stuff has always been my bliss, is like, can we get someone that doesn't know us to give us $1? Like, to me, that's always been the craziest shit ever. Because literally you're using words to get cash, which is, you know, it could be a podcast. It could be I mean, Amazon's kind of the same thing, right? I mean, it's a little different because the need's kind of there already and you're brokering it. But to me, that's always been fucking insane. It's like, can I get money to spawn from my laptop? That's crazy, bro.
Yeah, I mean, dude, buying your program, seeing all that stuff, and then that big thing happening to me literally changed the whole course of my life.
Yeah, what happened?
So I go viral on a part of the internet. I don't know if I've said it on here, so I don't really want to say it, but I go viral, and I was doing your program, which was like TikTok stuff, and I wasn't having any success. Really, I wasn't putting the work in to learn what was good. Now looking back on it, because now I know what's good content more than I did then. But I did this, got in the shower, got back out, and it was like viral when I got out of the shower. And I was like, Grant, what do I do, dude? I have so many email signups. But I made all that money, made like a lot, like high 5 figures in 2 weeks. And then I'm like, what am I doing on Amazon? Like, I just made more money cash than I've made this year. And I'm a big Amazon seller. So what am I doing here? I just like literally wrote stuff and people paid me a bunch of money. There's got to be something more to this than having a product and having all this stuff like physical. And it just changed my whole life. I'm like, I quit Amazon. I'm going to just focus on learning this stuff. And now I trade crypto, but you know, same concept.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing recently. But that's just how I'm taking a break from the market.
Are you staying afloat, or how are you doing with the nuke? Good?
Yeah, I'm getting better now. I'm like break even. Yeah.
There we go.
But yeah, it's interesting, all that stuff, the marketing. I learned that it was, once I got into it, I thought it'd be easier because you made it sound easy, but it's like way harder. And I think I had trouble conceptualizing big concepts and like applying them. So that's another question I have for you. So how do you, it seems like you just throw stuff out, big ideas on Twitter and TikTok, but you make them seem simple. I like him so bad at that, man. I talk over people, I feel like, when you really have to get on somebody's level to explain these big ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you go about that?
Yeah. So like articulation, basically, that resonates. The way that I think about it is a lot of it is kind of being able to like see the gaps of context that you have that you didn't know other people didn't have. So that actually has been a lot of my adult life, has been me realizing like, oh wow, I am built in different ways for specific. Like I always thought sales was completely obvious. So like when I had that sales job, realizing people struggle to sell, that I almost couldn't even fathom, because in my head it was like, just ask them what they want and then give it to them. So like, you know, like that felt so foundational to me that was actually, sales was the biggest one. I was like, oh shit, this like isn't a normal thing. So then I had to like realize where the average person was at with that. And you just talk to them a lot. That's really it. So like, you know, you make 100 videos and people will be like, I didn't get this for this reason or whatever. And then you can kind of be like, okay, that's where they are. So you kind of have to build a model of where the normies are at for certain topics. Right. And then, cause you can, dude, being a human's weird. Cause like, there's like domain specific information. Then there's like this whole foundational level of like meta information that we take into every new domain that we're in. So like you can succeed in Amazon and all the stuff you learn there, that's probably going to apply to everything, right? So there's that element too. But then a lot of the normies don't have any of that. So then it's like you'll be talking to people using foundations that you've built and other things that you've done, but then they won't even have that. So like a lot of BizOp, for example, from 0 to 1 is just giving people those fucking foundations because they don't have it. So like you're trying to tell them what to do and it's like they can't even show up. Like they can't even fucking like do anything for 2 days in a row. Like they can't even get their energy up and manage it for longer than 3 days before they destroy it and then they stop for 4 days. Like, so it's just the basics, you know what I mean? And so it's like, there's really no answer because I feel like I'm actually not that good at that, which is crazy that you said that because I feel like I talk over people a lot as well. But I think the times that I don't is I always start with my own experience. So I'm like, what problem did I go through? And what was I hoping somebody would tell me now that I actually know about the problem? And then I just say that to the camera. So I'm only literally talking to myself. So like the anxiety stuff, a lot of people know that. So like when I was 18, I was having like crazy panic attacks all the time. In hindsight, it was mostly biological. So basically I was cutting really aggressively because I was a trainer. So I like wasn't eating. I was doing like just god amounts of caffeine. I was in Oregon, so I was depressed. I was quitting basketball, so I was having like an identity crisis. There was a bunch of stuff that was very wrong, and it set up 2 panic attacks. So I learned about all of that. But then when I was going through it, nobody would fucking tell me like, oh, like most of it's biological. Like eat enough food and stop hammering caffeine and sleep, and like stop lifting 3 times a day and just destroying your nervous system. Like no one told me that. So it's like those kind of things. And I ended up ironically writing a book. I don't know if I've ever told anybody that. I don't know if I've ever dropped it. It was Anxiety Switch. It was when I was 18. So
That's
basically,
sweet.
so you had to go from panic attacks to never having a panic attack again. I mean, obviously you might have one if you're stressed, but you understand why they happen, which is mostly biological. So now it's like I can grab a camera and be like, hey, you know, you're having a panic attack. Your life probably looks like this. And they're like, holy shit, yes. And then I'm like, here's how to fix it. And it's what nobody ever told me. So every video and tweet is kind of like that. So I don't even... like it's funny because people are like, there's no original ideas. That's what you always see online. And I don't agree with that because like when I create, I turn everybody's shit off. So it's like other people will like, oh, I need a scroll for inspiration. I need to like not look at anything. And then it can come from me if that makes sense. So I feel like it's very opposite because I've seen people be like, oh, just follow these people and do this or that. But I'm like, because if you get like an original thinker, their thinking will cloud your thinking. Because they'll have like a good idea and it will kind of stick with you a little too long. So you don't know what's you or what's not you. So I tune those people out and I just create for myself, if that makes sense. But then it's always just, what did I want to hear? And then when you start dealing with people, like that's why teaching is the best way to learn. Because like when I was that sales job, when I was top rep, they like basically forced me to start training these reps because I was just laughing and they're like, please. And I'm like, I hate managing. They're like, be a manager. I'm like, no, I'll make way less money and I won't be selling. So I'll literally be doing what I hate, making less, and I'd like to sell. And they're like, oh, no, they're like, just we'll give you 500 more a month to try. I was like, okay. And so I was training these dudes and like, you just see where the gaps are. And then it's like, oh shit. So that's really it. And then as you build that model for that, now I can like, if I make a video, I know how to, so like, for example, Serena, right? Serena did the 158,000 in a month off zero on fucking cold organic. pure profit, delicious. So she got those sales because I wrote a sales letter.
Mhm.
So, and the sales letter was fucking insane because I know that person because I've dealt with that person, if that makes sense. So that was it. So, like, I had trained all these new people, and I had new people that were coming in, and I knew how they think of sales because everybody thinks sales is like this certain way or whatever. They don't really know it's just solving problems and communication. You know what I mean? So you just hammer all that, and then she was like sending me calls, and they were literally saying the sales letter on the call. They were like, "Yeah, I thought sales was this, but now I think this," and I'm like, "Yeah, I wrote that."
Yeah,
So
you got in their brain, and then now they're
you're in
saying
their brain. But I think the biggest uh, advantage.
If you're still listening to the podcast at this point, you are into it and a fan, and we really appreciate that. If you could do us a solid and like, subscribe, and do all that stuff, it really helps the podcast grow. And secondly, if you could tag us on Instagram, just take a picture of what part you are at the podcast. If you like it, tell us what you think about it. Tag me at Side Hustle Experiment, and I will definitely share it. Now let's get back to the podcast.
And I actually told my business partner this yesterday. The biggest advantage I think in business is literally just fucking talking to these people. So like if I'm going to sell that guy, I need to talk to. If you want to sell somebody and it's info, try to teach them something, and then you'll be able to see where they're at, and then talk to them if that makes sense. Because then you don't have to guess because it's like, oh, I know where you're at, and then like what questions are they asking? What paradigm? Because they'll ask questions, and you're like, oh fuck, I haven't thought about that in like 6 years, you know. So you need all of that. And then once you can build enough of a model of how they view the world, then you can kind of become them, and then you can just sell the fuck out of them, you know. But in a good way. You know, amazing product. Because a lot of people are like, oh, info's whatever. And it's like, well, info changed my life, right? I bought Sam Ovens fucking CA, and like when I was like 20 or whatever, I just do it all on a credit card. And that basically taught me like self first. So it made me rethink everything differently. So I thought that was amazing. But if you have an amazing product and you actually give a fuck, like, I mean, you experience it. It's a lot of cash. People really want it, and it's helpful. And if you're just not a piece of shit, like, it's great in my opinion.
Yep, 100%. What else you got, John?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So, what did you learn from Sam Ovens then? What was that's what I kind of want to ask you. Like, what was your first offer? Kind of how you get started? You were just like, I'm going to the club, hanging out. Let me make a product about this. So, like, what was that product, and like, how do you even learn about offers and like how to do that?
So great question. So I was basically like about internet biz at like 18. So this is like 2018. When was this? No, this is like 2016. I'm in college basically. So yeah, it's like 2015. Because basically Kino Body, Grego Gallagher was going crazy, and I saw him making money. And I was a trainer because I had a scholarship, but they wouldn't let me work, and then my parents wouldn't give me it. So I like had it was a weird loophole where I couldn't fucking get any money. So I was like, I got to start training. So I would just like literally talk to this sounds fucked up, but I would just make friends with fat chicks and like befriend them, and then I would just start training them. I'd be like, yo, come lift, and she'd be like, okay. Then I just put her through a workout, and I'd be like, yo, if you just keep paying me like hourly, like we can run this. She's like, okay. And like chicks lost weight. Like, dude, this chick lost like 40 pounds. And then she confessed her love, obviously. She's like, oh my God, Grant, you changed my life, da da da. And I was like, so when I was 20, so I graduated college, my family had a cookie company, and then I didn't know what I wanted to do. I told my friends, I was like, yo, it's time to get rich. And they like didn't want to do it. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, fuck you guys. Like, we got an internship, and I'm like, all right, bro. So I moved home, and then I was like, okay, I got free rent for a year. I can help out my family, and I've got to figure out this online money shit. So I just was on YouTube. I randomly found SEO. I don't know how. And then just bought a course on SEO. The guy's course was amazing. I literally can't remember I think I paid like $500 for it. And then I got good at SEO. Then that's what I was doing, but I realized I couldn't sell it. So then that's when I found Sam's stuff, because I was like, I gotta how do I sell this? So I bought his stuff, and then I already knew sales, but I didn't know like any of the online business stuff. I just didn't know any of that. So then I bought his stuff, and it was a great foundational program. In my opinion, the best thing that I learned from him was everyone basically tries to make a product first without knowing supply and demand. And I didn't know anything about supply and demand. I mean, I had like taken business classes because I got a business degree, but it was like, it's fucking college, bro. So it's pathetic. And so it's like, get into his program, and he's like, no. He's like, you literally just talk to the market, and they'll tell you what they want. And he's like, you just sell first. And I went like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So then I literally I did a big circle. I was like doing all this outreach, and I hated it. Then I started cold calling. So I was cold calling these local businesses trying to do their SEO, and then they would literally just tell me what they wanted, and I'd be like, yeah, I can do that. And they'd be like, okay, and then I just close them like that. So that program helped me think about business in that way of like basically product market fit first, because if you don't have product market fit, you're not going to make any money. So the terms he used, I think, was like message resonance. Like, is it resonating with the market? I had a tweet the other day. I was like, you can't. The only reason you can't scale is because your shit doesn't resonate. That was basically the tweet. So I would say that was the biggest thing that I learned, because all the other stuff I knew already because I was going, and it was good. But yeah, so then, I mean, I got probably like 14K a month in that SEO agency, like 4 months later, because they were teaching outreach, but I hated that. Because again, it's like the monotonous work. So I just started cold calling people in a fucking bakery, and I got like 4 or 5 clients. So it was good. And then ironically, there wasn't too much about like upselling anybody. So it was more like one program. So I basically got my 2 biggest clients to number 1 at the same time on Google. And then they were like, thanks. And so I lost them that way. So I literally just like giga fulfilled. And then I was like, I'm retarded. So that's what I thought afterwards. I was like, oh fuck. And then like I crashed my car, all this shit happened. PayPal held money and I had no money. So I got to get a sales job. But so that was it. And then in my head, I was like, going to just go to the job and then go right back into the game. But then the sales job was like fun. It was like 6 figures pretty easily. I had all my homies there. Golden handcuffs for sure, bro. I was like, I get it now. I totally get it now. Because before I had the corporate job, I'm like, these people are stupid. Like, I would never do that. Then I got it, and I'm like, damn, this is actually sick. So, kind of funny.
Well, what got you out of that? Because I feel like a lot of people get stuck there, right? Like,
So there's a couple things. So the big one was so this is another thing I would say Sam's program did is I saw people making retarded money. So like 100,000 a month, 200,000 a month, 300,000 a month. I remember Danielle, can't remember her last name, black chick, was doing like 890,000 a month. And I'm seeing this and I'm like, holy shit. So I'm like DMing people. I'm like, is this real? And then the guy was like, yeah, bro. Stripe screenshot, probably like 105 grand, this engineer dude. And I'm like, damn. So I couldn't unsee that. And then I knew that like, I knew they weren't that much smarter than me, bro. So I'm just like, I can fucking do it. So I just wanted to turn the yearly into the monthly. That was it. I'm like, I'm clapped at this job and I don't want to be here forever. I'm stuck. I could double my sales here and I'm not making more money. So it's like, it was literally just do I want to make more than this? The answer was yes. Then it was, can I do that at this job? The answer was no. So then I was like, okay, I got to find something else. So for me, it was really easy. Cause like once I knew I could sell, I could always get the 6-figure job again. Who cares? Like easy. Cause you could already have the skill, but I was like, I can't live with not trying. I can't live with not sending it. So then kind of told my parents they didn't want me to, obviously, I mean, they said they would support things, but kind of never did. So they didn't want me to quit, obviously. So I just didn't tell anybody I just fucking quit.
When was your first big month? Like, do you remember like when you're like, oh, that's a ridiculous amount of money? Like, I'm kind of, no, just in general. I mean,
dude, it doesn't really hit after the first like thing. So like basically the earliest one. So to answer John's question, it was basically a dating program, but it wasn't. I mean, it was like a self-help program that was through the lens of dating, but it was more like just social skills, right, and personal leadership. And that was a $67 course that I was selling with SEO. So I used those SEO skills that I had, and I was like, I got to get the fuck out of here. So I literally wrote 30 articles in like 170,000 words in a month because I could keyword research everything. I mean, the site still gets like 100K views a month. We were just looking at this like 2 days ago. And I haven't monetized it. It just still gets hits or impressions. I don't know if that's a hit, but it's like 70,000 impressions or whatever. So I had a little $67 thing, was doing that. And then I made like 100 YouTube videos and got a couple high ticket clients from that. So when the first one closed ever, high ticket was like $1,500 for that program. That was crazy. And then I had like a $7 grand month or something like pretty early on. And that was fucking insane because I was like at my sister's birthday in Vegas. And like I had just made $7 grand off the internet. And I was like, holy shit. So that was crazy. So for me, 7 was a huge number.
That's insane. I think that's really the coolest part, like kind of going back to like the SEO thing. It's like, I think people would just way overthink everything. Like you're just like, You're not like, oh, I need a business game plan. I need to get these people's email. You're just like, I'm just going to start calling people and they're going to tell me what they want. I don't even know if I could do it. I'm just going to say I'm going to do it.
Say yes.
And like, that's it. And like, there's like 4 or 5 grand, like right there. Most people are like, oh, I need an Amazon account. I need that. It's like, just go buy something on Facebook Marketplace and try to get $5 or $10 more. See if you even like it, and then that's it. You can figure out the rest later.
That's actually an amazing point. So that is one thing I think has sped me up really quickly is I've always thought in like micro systems. So like so what you just said, John, it's like if you can flip the 5 to the 10, you can do 500,000 to 10, like 500,000 to a million, like make it work on a little scale. And then that plus I've always had conviction in like, I actually knew I was going to deliver a really good fucking product because I actually gave a shit. So that conviction was always there. So it was like, that's why the guy's like, hey, can you do this? In my head, I'm like, not right now, but like, who the fuck else is going to care more? There wasn't, so that's what gave me the conviction. I was like, I'll figure it out because I wanted to deliver a good product. And I knew like worst case, I could just give the money back. So it's like, let me try to deliver something amazing. And if I can't, that's okay. But at least I now have some pressure on me to force myself to learn because you need pressure. There's got to be something there. But it's just, I've always viewed it just like that. It's like, oh, wow, can I go from 0 to 1? And if that works, you just do that more, which is what I tell the dudes with the views. I'm like, bro, if you can get 100 views, you can get 100 million. You just got to keep going. Like, because if you can get a sell off 1,000 views, which is not hard to do, if you do it right, then you make $1,000, you can make 100,000. It's all the same shit. You just do more of it.
That's interesting. What do you what do you see as the big thing slowing people back for stuff? Like you've coached so many people at this point.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
what is like the red flag, the green flag? How do you know when somebody's gonna be successful? How you're like they're gonna fail 100%?
Yeah, you can. So there's really not an answer because it's kind of like hiring, right? Like you can make a guess and be wrong, but you think you're not so you never really know fully. But I mean, there are signs. The biggest one that does hold people back is by far just fear. It's literally it. Like they just won't let shit go. So it's like, I always say like, just make it exist. Like, it's like, put the fucking video out or like sell the thing on Amazon or like go do something really, the shitty first draft, right? Do it really poorly just to do it. And then you can worry about making it on the back end. But fear by far is the biggest. Because if technically if somebody wasn't afraid of anything, they would just do it. So it's like, why can't I do it? Because you're afraid of something. You're afraid of it not being good enough. You're afraid of being judged. And it never goes away. You just get better at handling that fear. You know what I mean? But you just got to fucking ship. You got to just put stuff out there. That's it. Because if somebody actually tries and they just are making a commitment to get over their fears, I've just never seen it not at least work a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, because stuff isn't that hard to do. Like, before you do anything, you think it's some magical, like these guys are geniuses or whatever. And then you get to those new levels and you kind of look around and you're like, okay, most people are kind of retarded. That never goes away, or it never has for me. And then you're like, I could probably do this better. And then it's just the same shit over and over again. But like the only thing that's stopping you from getting there is literally just not fucking trying. Because it's like, who's judging you anyway? Oh, my dad. It's like, dude, who cares? So, and that's actually why I think so. Like, my dad's a good example. So he wanted me to live a certain way, and we're very similar in some ways, very different in other ways. And it got to a point where I was like, I just can't do it this fucking way. So I left and I kind of exploded that relationship. We didn't talk for 2 years. But then the freedom in that was like, to me, that was like, I mean, it's your dad, right? So that was like the opinion that you want to like, oh yeah, look at me kind of. So then you explode that one and you kind of beat the video game on hard mode. So like if you have the balls to like just explode those ones closest to you that really fucking suck, then you kind of are perpetually free. Because it's like some guy on the internet, a business partner, I mean, anybody could say shit to me. And it's like, well, that's not going to feel like what that one used to feel like back in the day. You know what I mean? And then you handle stuff and we're good now. We're like amazing now. But it's just opinions, bro. People are just scared of what people think. But then the way I've handled that is like, you're going to fucking die. So like, is 90-year-old version of you gonna cry like, oh, you didn't do this, whatever, because you were scared? It's like, but then you always get what you get. So if you don't do it, you'll die not doing it. And then I always like run I imagine I'm dead. I realize I do this all the time. We were literally talking about this yesterday. I'll imagine I'm dead. And I'm like, do I like what I did in that situation, or should I have done something differently? And then I'll be like, no, I wish I would have done whatever. So like, that's why I left the job. I was like, okay, if I died tomorrow, what's the one thing I would have been really regretful about? It would have been not quitting this fucking job and shooting. It literally. So I use that all the time.
Do you have such good concepts, man, about like these big things? I feel like you have the unique stuff. That's what drove me to like, I got to get to know this dude. He like says all this stuff. Like, I just don't hear it. It is original thought. It's like none of the generic business stuff you hear from people, and the generic like thought processes and stuff. It's like all pretty unique.
Yeah. Cause it's like, you basically, you have to pick a goal that you like and you got to strive to get it. And then anything that blocks you, you can solve it yourself, but people want to use other people's solves. So like I just wasn't really consuming shit like that. So then I'm trying to start a business. I'm fucking freaking out. And I'm like, how do I get myself to stop freaking out? And then you can play games with yourself. It's like, well, if I'm 90, you know what? You just get to these places and then it's like, and then you get yourself over it. And you're like, oh shit, now you're over that forever. And then that little solve that you've used yourself is what the best content always is. I mean, that's all my content has always been. It's been like, I want this thing. I face this problem. Here's how I solved it. Right. Which I just gave you guys a good example. It's like, I wanted to quit the 6-figure sales job, but I'm obviously freaking the fuck out because it's scary. But then it's like, but I know I want to do it. So then how do you get yourself to do it? Well, it's like, well, I can already sell, so I know I can get the job again. And then it's like, okay, 90-year-old, well, I can't live with not quitting, but I can't. And it's like, okay, I'm going to do it. That's it. And then additionally, a model I love too is like, you'll have levels of certainty really dependent on your energy. So like you could, let's say you want to quit your job and, you know, on a Tuesday, you might be like a fucking 9 and you're like, I'm going to quit. It's going to be amazing. You fucking feel it. You're in your God energy. You're like, yo, I'm about to rip. Then let's say you go out, you get hungover because it's all downstream of energy. If you pay attention to your certainty levels, you'll notice it always lags behind your energy. So when your energy drops, your certainty is going to drop. So let's say like I got way too hungover with Sam like 3 days ago. We went, it was like tequila and then the white wine got brought in. I'm like, oh shit. So then I haven't been that hungover in a while. But then your certainty drops. So then it's like a 4. And it's like, fuck, I don't know if this will work or whatever. So now I know you just wait those out, fix your energy, get back to a fucking 9, and then you can pull the trigger from that state. And then when you pull triggers, set up your life in a way where you can't fucking crawl back. That's the big one. Because like people think when they do things that they're scared of, it's just going to be rosy and amazing. Like, no, you're going to have like tremendous obstacles that you've never faced before in your fucking life. But now you have nowhere to go to. So I called it like God's 2FA, like 2-factor authentication. Like you're going to do it and it's really going to be like, do you actually fucking want this? And if you can go through that, then it tends to get better. But everything that I've done that has been scary in that regard has been like, you jump, you're really happy. Then you kind of go to like a dark depths of the fucking nights of the soul. And you're like, holy shit, I don't know if this is going to work it. I don't know if this is going to work. That's kind of the testing region. Then you're like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it anyway. You kind of get your second wind and then doors open and in like really fucking weird ways, like very strange, like last lead is closing and your commission is the exact amount of debt that you need to pay off type shit, like crazy stuff.
Dude, that's so true. Because I recently had something like that happen and it was just like, I got a really big like brand deal. And that's exactly what I needed to like take kind of like what I'm doing now to the next level. I was like, with this money, I don't no longer have to like really rely on selling Amazon super heavily. Yep. I was like, all right, this is the sign to go all in. I really like the idea you were saying, like you could always go back. Cause like when I quit my job, I was like, oh man, like this is a big decision. I was like, I'm young enough. Like I could always just get another job. And even if it's only for like 30-40 grand, like I just work my way up again, like figure it out or whatever. That, and on top of like writing a list of like the worst things that were going to happen, then reading the list, be like, never gonna let it get to that. Like there's just no way in hell it gets that bad or whatever. So I really like that a lot.
You get food and you get, even if you go broke, you got food and shelter somewhere. You probably got a boy or something. So then it's like, but you have the internet. So it's like, just fucking get back in the game, bro. That's what so like that first business, I was literally drove myself to like 50 grand in debt with no income. I was just trying to make something work. But then it was like, okay, worst case, I default on this. My credit takes a little hit. Then I go back to a 6-figure sales job, stack up cash while I live in poverty and just jump and do it again. So it's not really a risk. Plus, like I just hate monotony anyway. So I'd rather do that than fucking just work a corporate forever, you know? So, because that's the thing too. It's like if you're built differently, which obviously you guys are because you're here. Anybody else who's probably listening is too. You just can't fucking use like normality as your guide because it's just always really fucking gay. It's like slow down, less risk. And it just eventually you just are like, fuck you. And then no one's going to see it your way and that's fine. But then like you get conviction in how you view the world. And then you realize that like actually they're fucking insane because they can't run risk analysis like properly. Oh, I'm scared to leave my job. Bro, you already got one. Yeah. You can get one again. Like you've already gotten a job, dude. Like what are you fucking scared of, you know?
Do you talk like this about the risk analysis stuff with people in your, well, I'm sure you surround yourself with mostly people like, you know, like us, but whenever you get hit with the pushback or something, what do you even say? Or do you even try to like,
bro, I don't really like impose anything on anybody. So like, if they come to me with a question, I'll answer it, but I just kind of let people do themselves, honestly. But like, you know, sometimes in programs, people will like fight you on stuff and it's like, dude, you're wrong. It's like, I've literally done this and here's the 3 principles that have made it work. and what you're doing abides by 0 of them for these reasons. You just have to explicitly articulate, and not like an ass. I'm being, aggressive.
I saw you do this before. That's so funny. I just watched you on a call, some guy push you, and you're like, bro, you've got to just listen to me. Like, you're not doing anything I'm telling you.
Stop, bro. Yeah. Because the thing is, I don't do that. So when that other business, I'm in this room with a bunch of agents making a bunch of money, and I'm not fucking talking. I'm learning. So it's there's a weird, I think it's literally just fatherless behavior. Like, these kids just don't have fucking dads. They've never been told to shut the fuck up and listen. But it's you're at a place, you don't know what you're fucking talking about. And this person does. And I'm not saying I know everything, because I'm on the other side of this myself. I mean, I paid this dude 50 grand fucking 5 months ago for one-on-one coaching. He talks, I just shut the fuck up and I just listen. That's just how it is. You have to realize, okay, do I know what I'm talking about or not? And if the answer is no, then learn. Because I think a lot of these people too, they get insecure with what they don't know. And I've never felt like that. Because in my head, it was I've never learned it. So obviously I'm not going to know it. But then I know in my head, well, I could spend time learning it. So I've never been insecure with not knowing things. But I think a lot of people are. And that was something I had to because I've learned a lot. Even, I learned a kickflip when I was 7, right? And all these kids can kickflip at the skate park. I can't. So I'm just trying to fucking kickflip. And then I'm kind of getting clowned. But it's I've never done it. So I know, why should I be good at it? And then eventually learn how to kickflip. And it's okay, cool. So, but that's basically it. You kind of got to just be bro, just stop, dude. Because a lot of it is insecurity. Because if someone's doing that, it's why are they doing this? Usually it's because they just can't accept being in a position where they clearly know less. But that mental model is completely against buying a fucking program. It's dude, the guy's teaching you, so just shut up. You know what I mean? So, but then the basic can listen to directions and implement is apparently a fucking 1% skill, because people cannot do that. You literally just say, hey, do this, and they can't. So that's kind of when it comes back to giving them the foundations, it's bro, you can't read a sentence and do it. So it's how are you supposed to fix that? I don't know. But you have to somehow if you want to help them.
I think a lot of it is that, I don't know, I always made excuses. I guess I still do this to an extent. It's just I would see, especially in your program, see these people going viral and stuff. I'm dude, I haven't done it long enough. It's going to take forever. This person's got this thing that I don't have. And then I'm just what am I doing, dude? You're just being ridiculous. You have stuff that they don't have. What do you, but it's hard. I mean, you're always wanting to be they can do this, or put them on a pedestal when they shouldn't be on a pedestal. No one should be.
I think, and maybe I'm wrong, Drew, you could tell me if I am or not, but I think a lot of that too is not really wanting the thing.
Yes.
So basically you view the thing as one way to get something that you want. So it's not the route and the path that you actually want. You're just viewing it as a means to get an end. So I think that's when that stuff comes in. It's because you're not really sold on the fucking thing, but you're well, I'm here, and you're kind of gaslighting yourself into it. Because I've been in that situation too. But anytime I've looked for basically now, I'll catch myself doing that. I'll be and I'm oh, I don't actually want to do this. So you kind of just shorten the fucking games you play with yourself, because it's well, it's oh no, but so then it becomes well, what do I actually want? Mm-hmm. I don't know what that, but that's the hard part, is figuring out what the opposite of what you don't want looks like,
Yeah, see, that's funny you say that. I've said that on this pod before. I think I tried so many different things after that I'm I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. I was always asking you about stuff. Yeah. And then I realized as long as I'm going to put everything I do, let's say it all works out perfectly well. Yep. Is that how I want it to go? And if it's not, why would I even do it? If it's not, that's what I want to do for a long time. I want this to get big. I want to have all this responsibility. So now everything I get into, I'm I'm going to just assume it goes perfect. And if I don't like that conceptual idea in my head, I probably don't want to do it, because when it's not going to be like that for a while. It's going to be very hard. I'm definitely going to quit. For a long time. It's hard. Yeah. That's a great mental thing.
I do that with everything too, which is what I fucking did in college. It was I don't even want to use a fucking degree. I mean, I ended up getting one, but it was complicated. I played basketball. I dropped out 3 times, ended up coming back. And I did start businesses when I was there. I had a little drop shipping leggings business and shit. But I was I don't even want to use the degree, bro. Crazy.
Yeah. Then you're just yeah, why am I even doing this at all?
Yeah. But I think a lot of newbies in these programs, they don't, it's just tougher when you're starting, because you have no confidence in yourself. You got to get a couple wins to be confident, right? I did a bunch of sports when I was a kid. So I had sports wins for some. So I think those helped me. And I just kind of knew oh, I could do anything that I want to do if I just believe, if I just stick to it. So the question is just, what do I think I can stick to long enough? You know what I mean? But it's tough, bro. I mean, self-belief is, which is, if someone buys a program from you, that's what they're paying for. So
Yeah.
'cause the information to do anything that you want is very simple. Fucking just find product demand, talk them into it with a good sales argument. That's really all it is, right? But then it's like, it's those oscillations. They're a 9, then they go back to a 2. Can you get them from a 2 to a 9 again so they can keep going? And then they just need enough momentum to not quit, which is the hard part about the normie psyche, because their window for that first dopamine hit is like 4 days. So you literally get like 4 days to catch something, or they just self-destruct. Where then you do stuff a bunch, and then you and I and I'm sure John too, like we can go years. If we believe in it now, it's like, okay, I see the vision and I can do it. Because now, the thing that we just started, it's like it's not even going to work for 7 months. So then it's just me and my business partner fucking grinding for 7 months on a whim or a dream or whatever you want to call that. But there's no dopamine there, which I can remember being 18 and being like, I got to get my first Shopify sale. You know what I mean?
Yep. Well, what's the offer you launched recently? You did something with webinar and stuff?
Yeah, so we did basically it was like make content, sell a ticket products. So it was what you were in, but I made it normified. Because I created a product for them to use, but then I didn't like the angling of it. So I had paid that guy, and our sales styles were different. He's more like old school direct response, and I'm not. And then we had a bunch of disagreements, but I ended up doing something that I didn't do it how I wanted to do it. I basically didn't listen to my intuition, right? Classic. It never fucking ends. The truth is you don't listen, then you get slapped, and you're like, ah, fuck, here we are again. So that's what happened. So basically, I'm re-angling everything with that program, and then we dialed it into because people are doing great stuff. So I'm just going to relaunch that, and then that'll probably be maybe like one of the last info things I'll probably run. We'll see because I think I can run that the fuck up probably, because it doesn't exist how I have it re-angled. Like I've literally never seen it. And that's the stuff I like doing. I like making new stuff, so that's my favorite.
Yeah, that stuff hits so hard too.
Drew, everybody was like, don't do that, and I'm like, well, let's just try it.
That's genius. The only reason I got it is because it was brand new. If you'd have been selling some like wrapper of something else I'd seen, I would just go, dude, I'm not going to do that. The only time I pay for it's when it's like, this is brand new, or at least he's saying it is, like that's your marketing angle. So it's just, I don't know, it's shiny object. And especially when you bring in this market today where everybody's selling like the same stuff, it just cuts through the noise when you have something.
100%. That's why I'm re-angling. It's like noise will be cut through it. Plus sales argument is so fucking good. Plus it's fun. So I was like, all right, whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, so I shut it down because I didn't like it.
Makes sense. You got jump.
Yeah, that's really interesting too, like how you kind of think of offers and stuff like that. How do you, I'm guessing you do have some students who fail. How do you kind of handle that? Like that was always the hardest part for me with coaching. Like you kind of, like you said, you hype these people up, you give them everything, and they're like, what, like, I don't get it. Like, why aren't you doing this? And that's kind of why I stopped, because it was like high ticket, and I'm like, I just can't handle these people not doing it. The people weren't even mad at all, but it's like you just feel like a scumbag, like taking their money, and then they don't do anything.
100%. And so no one talks about this with high ticket, by the way, or with info. But what you just said is the core problem with the model that nobody talks about. So what happens is people start running this model, they make a bunch of money. Then exactly what you just articulated, John, gets to a point where their soul just starts getting raped, and then they fucking psychologically crash the fuck out. They stop doing it, and then they do stuff. They do other stuff. Think about everybody who's ran up high ticket stuff. There's a crash out at some point, and the reason is for that. So that's a huge component of it. And then the short answer is, you never fully get over it. A couple things that I use now is like, there is just a portion of the population that will never succeed ever. So like it's I'm serious. Like I didn't think that way when I was younger, because I was like, oh, everybody can do anything, right? I actually don't believe that now. I think there's like built different tours, and there's just the slave population. So you have like, not like master slave, but like some people are literally just born to serve someone telling them what to do. That's what it is. Like I personally think it's mostly genetic, but you could argue a bunch of different arguments for that. So that is the first, I think, thing to realize is like, there are certain people that are doomed for failure forever. Additionally, there are some people that could be good, but where they are in their life just doesn't allow for success on whatever the thing is. So you have these two, it doesn't matter how much coaching you give them, doesn't matter how much you're good at talking. It's just, you can't do anything. I always say, like, the ambitious man that can move mountains can't make a loser a winner. It's the only unsolvable problem for a person with ambition. Like you can make $1 million a month, but you can't make a fucking loser not be a fucking loser. Like it's impossible. So only an unwinnable game. So like I just build stuff into the contract where it's like, hey, if you don't do this, then you're gonna fail, and everyone's on good terms, because then it's not like weird, because it's like, hey, you didn't do anything, and then if they, because some people, but this is rare, like people will do stuff and they suck so bad that it doesn't actually work for them. But that's so rare. Like I have had people like that, but it's like 1 in 300. Like it's very rare. So maybe for that guy, but it's like you put in, you like your time's valuable too. So you dumping in fucking 30 hours with this dude, like in a more intense relationship than any other thing he's gonna get, like you like you're in the negative. So we actually are the ones that should be compensated. If that, so like it does.
You pay me more.
No, literally, it's like, dude, I fucking just gave you hyper specific information at world class levels for 6 months, and you're still retarded. So like you're still showing up to a Zoom call high, or whatever the fundamentals are that they don't have, because that's the only thing that's stopping them, is they're missing stuff, and it's like we can't do that. So you kind of just got to accept it, though. Realize that a percentage is going to fail, and then you can only ask like, okay, did I deliver what I wanted to deliver? And if the answer is yes, that's all you can do. But the problem is, like a couple really fucking bad clients will literally ruin, it'll stain the whole business model, no matter how much you're making. So you could be doing fucking 500,000 a month, high margins, you're kicking, you get like 6 fucking whiny retards, and it's just like, shut the fuck up. So then you have to have someone that says you can kick them out, because they won't. You just got to be like, yo, you got to get the fuck out. So that does have to be there too, because like people suck, you know. Some people.
Such a good point.
That is a really good
every
point,
time that's ruined it for me. I'm sure it's the same for you, John.
Yeah, same. I remember there's one person, I can remember it so vividly, just like what you were saying, that like no matter how we said it, no matter what we did, I was like, this person's never gonna get this. Like it's just like impossible. And they're like, I need more calls, I need more this. I was like, bro, like you're just, I don't understand. Like everything is here. Like you need to do the work.
You can't save them. So you just write in something in the contract that's like, hey, if this happens, I can just kick you out whenever, because those, you got to just defend against those people if you care. So that's the difference. Like we're very wholesome men that actually give a fuck. So like our souls are pure. So then that stuff affects us a lot. But there are a lot of people in the info world where they just can scam everybody and they don't give a fuck. So those people, obviously, they just run up a bag, and then, you know, their reputation will catch up to them eventually. But like, if you actually care, that is a huge fucking problem. Ironically, so I got this girl coming tomorrow morning from New York, met her in New York, and she was doing fitness training. And then I was like, just do high ticket. She's like, what's that? So I was like, okay. So I was like, yo, I'll make you rich. Just come to Miami. She's like, okay. So I'm going to actually make like content on this, of her going from like poverty trainer to like printing cash. And so, but she was like super down, but then she was crashing out in New York, because like she had 2 clients that wouldn't fucking do anything, and she was like literally like freaking out. And I was like, and I had to tell her basically what we're talking about here. I was like, yo, this is the problem with clients. I was like, they fucking get to your soul. So you got to have these systems mentally and also like operationally to defend against them, because like 2 retards will sour the whole operation, bro. It's actually insane.
That's crazy. I've never heard of it put like that, but that is so true, man.
We make excuses too. It's like, man, if you just, but then like that's our fantasy, because they will never get to the, if you, like, for example, if I was just 7'3", I would have went to the league, you know. But it's like, I'm not going to the fucking league, you know.
Yep.
Because we make excuses for them, but at the same time, there's a whole nother side of it, which is like we pour everything into them. We're coaching them. We're like basically carrying the responsibility of their success on our backs with 100 other people, and we're giving them time. So like, fuck them. Like I've never operated like that in any program. I've always been the best client. I've been the client that I've wanted. So like, fuck them. And someone does have to say fuck them, because like they're just gonna do this little shit behavior wherever they go. And it's like, dude, I've had this convo like a week and a half ago. Same thing, shit client. And I was like, dude, you are a shit client. I mean, I said it nicer than that, but that was basically, I'm being, you know, aggressive for the pod, but I was basically like, look, bro, I told you to do 30 things. You've literally done 0 of them. And like nothing, language isn't languaging with you. So like, I'm telling you things and it's just not working. So I was like, let's just not do this. You should go do something else. Right? And then it's like, well, here's what the contract says. And it's like, bro, I'm sorry. I just, fuck you. Like, go away. That's basically how it works, you know? Yeah. So a little tough love there, but
Yeah, it's interesting. I always ask, like every guest we had, I try to, of what makes someone successful or not, which the fear thing's good, but you just saying that there's a certain percentage they're just never going to make it. No one said that yet. You know, we've had so many different answers, but that's one that I've never heard of. Like some people are doomed.
And that's crazy for me to say because I'm the most like you could change anything about yourself and become whoever you want to be type person that probably exists. But like I've now just dealt with thousands of actual humans and it literally, you can't change it. You just okay, like you just see the pattern and it'll just never be fixed. So now it's like the way that I view programs is you can never, so you can only speed up a winner's process. So like a winner comes in, you can speed them up, but you can never turn a loser to a winner. So like the losers are going to lose forever, and if you get them in the program, they're going to lose in your program, they're going to lose in any program. So it's not even you and your program; it's you trying to solve an unfucking solvable problem. But then if it was a winner, they'd go into any program and they'd kill it. Like Serena, for example, or Drew, and like winners just do shit that win, you know. So like, but then you do emotionally have to, because then it's like okay, because I was like, oh man, I need better operations. I dealt with all these people that you just mentioned, John, and I'm like, okay, I need better ops. Then I'm like, but what would I change? And I'm like, oh no, I need less shit clients. That was literally I was like, oh no, it's actually nothing with the business. It's specific people that I need to, because I was like, every other domain of my life, I remove people like that. Like I have like a perpetual, positivity shield. And if you're kind of complaining and bullshitty, you're just gone. Like one strike policy, people go, and I'm like, I just don't need to deal with that because I don't want anything from you. So like, goodbye. But then I'm like, why do I not do that in my business? So that was an interesting one. So you do need.
I told you that at one point. I think I said, dude, you should just charge $30K from this. I don't know why you're doing what you're doing.
Exactly, and then you kind of also had the same like mini crash out as well.
I have,
because you were like, because I mean, you were basically like, look, it's working really well, but some of these people are these types of people, and it's like that's what happens with some people. I don't know, that's just what it is. So, but if you look at everybody, I mean, you could look at Becker, you could look at even Cole Gordon kind of had this happen, right? So it's like. People do info to a certain level, psychological crash out, go into something else. That's kind of what happens. So, and like Miles and I were talking about it too. Like there are levels because like you could, with info, let's say you're doing high ticket, you could sit 100 to like 200K a month with like one closer and like a good front end. And there's not that much work. Usually the clients are all pretty good and you're kind of in cruise control. But then if you're going to go to like 500, 600 a month, now you kind of need a team. You kind of got to redo stuff. Will your margins be that much higher? Like, will you be pocketing? It just depends what you want, though. That's why I always come back to lifestyle. Because it's like, because for me, for example, if I'm doing like, let's say, new info business, you're doing like, pick a number, 50 grand a month, right? But then all the clients suck ass, I'm not doing the business. So then it's like, okay, is this a me problem or like, am I the one getting this? Like, is this my fault or is it these people's faults? So then you maybe cycle a couple more clients and you're like, oh no, these people just suck. So then you never actually had a business problem, you had a client problem. But nobody wants to say that because they always are like, oh, but dude, there's just bad people, So, but that's so. And I told, I almost said her name, but I told the girl this. It's like nobody talks about this with coaching businesses if you actually give a fuck, because you're basically taking on everybody's shit because you want them to be successful because they fucking paid you, and like your soul is like, yo, let me give you 10 out of 10 fulfillment, but they're just only capable of handling a 1 out of 10 lesson. So it's like, oh, that 9 out of 10 delta just manifests as fucking your own mental illness. It's actually insane.
Yeah, I had somebody tell me recently where I've gotten this crypto trading. I love it. I've spending like 12 hours a day. And he told me, he was like, I knew you would like that because I liked Amazon. He's like, when you can separate yourself from the people, you'll work all day. But when you're connected to these people and you feel like there's something wrong that's going to happen and you can like feel their pain, it'll just shut you off. So now I've kind of got this thing of like, no matter what I do, I have to make sure I'm not super connected to these people because I just have like too much empathy. I'll just crash out every time. I've done it for 2 years.
Yes. And that is the core downside that nobody talks about. But that also is, by the way, like, so I don't know if I told you guys, my fucking Kundalini like popped open. You know what Kundalini is? No. So there's a dormant energy in your spine called Kundalini. Okay. Now for 99% of people, it doesn't open. But basically, if you get to a point where, and I learned this in hindsight. So now, like, I could be a Kundalini coach because no one fucking told me. It's the same shit. Like, nobody even says anything. So long story short, it's just like dormant energy in your spine. It can pop open. Your nervous system gets flooded with more energy, and it just feels very intense. So like you're just really hot. Like you get really hot for a couple of days. You're like, the fuck is happening? It's really weird. You kind of get disoriented. You might get like depersonalization. People have different things with it. But long story short, spiritually, if you feel responsible for people, it tugs at it, because that's like the one dagger that just eliminates, that just gets to your fucking soul, is like you feel responsible for other people, but then they're not doing anything. So like the immovable rock is there. So you're like trying to move them, but they don't want to move themselves. That's like a very unique thread of the human experience that fucks with you. So I was dealing with like a bunch of clients. Then my friend killed himself, right? Which was me basically, like I refused to let that go because I wanted to help him. So like it just fucking, it daggered to the, so like the feeling you have of like, oh, I got all these clients, I feel responsible. Magnify that by like 1,000. And then that's what gets it to pop open, basically. It's some variation of that. So I learned with all of that. That's where I basically learned these fucking lessons with the program. It's like, you just, like, you really can't even help anybody. Like, even the people that you help, you almost can't help them because they're helping themselves through you. Like, you can speed them up, but it's like, you're not really, because like, you know, Serena made a bunch of money. It's like, was that me? Maybe. But she was going to kill it anyway. So I kind of sped it up, or whoever it is. You know what I mean? So yeah, that is a good lesson, because you do detach. Which is also why, because people have the info crash out, like I'm never going to do it again. But you do have to figure that one out, though, if you're an empathetic, nice young man as yourself and me.
I don't know. We'll see what happens in the future. That's a lot to think about, because it's like, it is hard, but I don't know. Or you just turn to a psychopath, I guess. I guess that's the other thing.
You can't do it, though.
Yeah, I know.
I can't do it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about content. Or actually, John, what do you got?
I do have one thing before I forget. I'm not even going to pretend to remember, but you had a pretty good, like, long tweet about feeling behind. And I was like, wow, like, there's just so much. It was like 3 or 4 paragraphs. Do you remember it?
I remember like the idea of it. Yeah.
You want to go over that? Because I feel like a lot of people in the Amazon space are like, oh, I'm behind Drew, I'm behind John, I'm behind Miles, I'm behind this. And like, I think that really sabotages them, or it's like, I don't have, everyone else doesn't have a 9 to 5, so I'm behind. I'll never catch them.
Okay. Yeah, let me pull it up. So you're saying they are like, they feel behind. You feel like that's fucking them over?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people feel like that.
Okay. Let me pull it. Basically, the idea, I can't find the tweet, but it was, so I actually didn't know that people thought like this. So this was another one of those things that I wasn't really aware of, because you're comparing yourself to someone random, right? But the issue when you do that is like, so one mental model I've always had is like, your life is it's its own track. You know what I mean? So like, I have lessons that I've learned. You guys have lessons that you've learned, and we've learned them at our own speed, doing our own things, right? Everything is divine timing. Like, I couldn't have had a successful business at 18 because I wasn't the type of person that would have had a fucking successful business because I didn't have a successful business. Like, very objective, like literally, like my priorities were basically like talking to chicks and getting drunk. And so like that priority hierarchy didn't allow for a successful business objectively in reality, because I didn't have a successful business. Does that make sense? So it's like, you kind of just got to view reality for how it is. So a lot of these people are like, oh, I'm behind, but it's like, behind with what, dude? So when people do that, it's like you're taking a metric in isolation and you're comparing one isolated variable of your life to somebody else. But what you're completely negating is literally everything that contributed to them having the variable and you not having it. Like, there's literally a whole fucking life narrative, that stuff that you have that you're not taking into account, stuff like that guy's more successful because he went through more pain earlier in a different, like, that's it. Like something fucked with him earlier than it fucked with you. That's literally all it is. So it's like, you just realize it doesn't make sense, because like using a metric, first of all, they just need to get self-esteem. That's really the big thing, is like, even if they're like, oh, I'm behind, it's such a, people need to realize, like, objective, subjective, right? Objective, what is real; subjective, what's fake. You saying, oh, I'm behind, is fake, because it's like, what metric are you using? Well, this guy, he started earlier. So then, like, why did he start earlier? Why did you not start earlier? There's your answer. So it's like, your life, people think like their life can take different routes, but it can't. Like, your life is your life. So it doesn't make, it's like people getting insecure of like, oh, I don't know this, so I'm going to pretend like I know it. It's like, bro, you just never learned it. But if you spend time learning it, then you'll know it, if that makes sense. So it's like, I've always thought it's made zero sense, because like, if you wouldn't fully trade your life with somebody else's, then why are you fucking worrying about whatever? Like I wouldn't. It's just so, dude. It's so gay to me. I don't know how to communicate it because it's like basically like your life is your own life path, and you have your own way that you're gonna go about it. And so there's only what is right for you is right for you. So you to be like, oh, Drew is higher on Amazon, so I'm gonna crash out about it. Why? Do you think that's going to get you a girlfriend? Like, they just need to think about these things that they're creating and how they're setting up the problems, and they'll realize it's all air. It like actually doesn't fucking matter. And the true realization, I think, is a lot of these guys do it secretly for girls, but you realize, like, I was getting girlfriends dead broke, so I know it has nothing to do with money. So like the thing that they're hoping, if they're viewing Amazon as a means to an end, it's like, why do you want that end? And if it's to fill something inside of you, number one, it's not going to fill it inside of you. You're going to feel the same way when you get it. And number two, you can just skip that whole process by just loving yourself now. That's kind of it. And then once you do love yourself, you wouldn't trade your life. Like I wouldn't, there's nobody I would ever trade my life with because it wouldn't be my life, you know? Like, because I could be like, oh, Elon's richer. Like, who fucking cares though, dude? Like, it's just, I don't know. I think people care about the wrong stuff. Like, if you're healthy and your family's healthy and you have another shot in the game, that's all you can ask for. So, and then it's like if Drew has more money or John has more money, they've just done it longer than me. It's not a reflection of me. It's a reflection of how long I've done something. So I'm just not taking any of it personally. Did that help, John, or did that?
Yeah.
Not? Okay.
No, I like that a lot. Yeah, and I feel a lot of people are like that. And like I used to be like that too. Like when I was seeing like people doing like 100K months on Amazon. Yep. And when I finally did it, I'm like, this sucks. Like I'm so stressed out. Like this is not what I want. Or like I've had that in so many times in my business where it's like you just progress and it's like, well, this is what everyone else progresses to on Instagram. Like I was running a book business, doing thrifting, and then everyone's like, oh, you gotta do bulk. So I just started to do bulk. You gotta get a warehouse. Like 2 weeks into getting a warehouse, like this sucks. Like, why did I do this? Like this, it lasted for like 2 years, and then I went to OA, and now like I'm just doing other things, and it's just like, but I guess you don't know until you do it, and then you kind of figure it out.
You had a good point too. You want to be like inspired by that stuff. So that's I think a core point is like I realize, oh, this person's ahead of me because I haven't spent time doing it, but them doing it should be fucking inspirational. Like not, you shouldn't get insecure about that because they're only ahead of you because they've done it longer. And they only know stuff you don't know. It's not like a fucking self-esteem thing because you could learn it. I think me knowing that I could learn it has been the hedge against that. But then like in Sam's program, when I see all these people doing numbers, that was like that was a good thing. Like I wasn't like, oh, I'm stupid. I was like, holy shit, I can make 100,000 a month online. Like that's amazing. Thank you for showing me that. You know, it's a completely different way to view it, you know. But I think now that the difference would be I know I could learn it if I wanted to, and I know the only reason I haven't is because I haven't spent as much time as them. But I do know I could spend as much time as them to get where they're at. I think that's been the hedge. Because if you view it that way, it's kind of inspirational. You know what I mean? But I think if you don't think you can do it secretly, then you get kind of like, oh, what the fuck? Because you think it's kind of what you said earlier, Drew. Like you think they're different, or you think they have something that you don't. But you kind of realize like, no, you have everything you need right now. Like literally, it's just you learning stuff that you haven't learned. But you inherently as a human are fucking good. Because it's like you have your own style of life. So like Drew could get there a certain way. But if I do Drew's style, I'm going to be slower. But if I do Grant's style, if I find it, I'll be there. I'll be faster. So you kind of realize like you're just in a lane of one. People want to compare themselves to whatever, but it's like, why, dude? Because like, let's say you have $1 million or whatever the number is that guy has that you don't have. You're just going to stay at your house now and just look at your bank account all day? Like they don't, like, what are they going to, it literally doesn't matter. You could have $1 million liquid or fucking, you could lose it all and have 100,000 liquid. Your life looks the same. It's just how you view yourself. You know what I mean? But then people attach their worth to external shit. So like I don't. So it's like, there's a guy that could walk into a room 100 times richer than me. I don't care. Because like, I'm like, I like my own character. I like how I operate. I like myself. So it's just, I'm not, if I was like, oh, all my worth is in my businesses. And so I think that's actually one thing I differ with a lot of these Twitter people is like, they see I have a following. And so they like come to me with like, oh, this is how I get my self-esteem. What about you? And I just hate all of that. So I'm like, bro, go away. I was like, I don't care, you know? But you just got to play your own games. But I mean, self-esteem is really what it is. So I'd ask, if anyone's stuck in that, I would literally ask like, okay, what is this trying to fill? Do I think this is going to get me status with my friends? Do I think it's going to get me status with my whoever? Or is it going to get me status? Like, am I going to get a girlfriend with this? Whatever you think it's going to get you, realize it's not going to get you that, because nothing external will get you anything. Plus, it's just a weird way. Like, if Drew was doing more than me, I would just view him as a mentor. I'd be like, oh, Drew's doing 100K a month. He's going to show me how to do it. Like, it should be exciting. You know what I mean?
That's why I look at it. That's why I messaged you. I was like, this dude seems like he knows what he's doing. He can teach me something.
Yeah. But I do think like I mean, I was dating because a lot of people use the girl thing. Like, I literally had no money. I had a dented Astro van from the bakery. And like, it just didn't, because people are like, oh, does having a following and having money change dating? I'm like, literally 0%. So because like girls don't know what I make. They don't know where I live. They don't know anything about me. They don't know I have a following. They don't know anything. All they know is like the person in front of them. So that's kind of the punchline. Like, that's how people interact with other people. What's the quality of the person? You know what I mean? So, and like, ironically, if you don't have what you want, you're not the type of person that is capable of getting it. So reality is just telling you you're not that guy yet. But they want to like magically be the guy. It's like, well, no, you got to, get your heart shattered and then fucking, grind in the depression dip for 3 years, and then you'll make your, 100K a month on Amazon or whatever. But I don't know if that helps. I just think it's stupid. Yeah. Like, just who fucking cares, bro? Live your life, do fun shit.
Yeah, I think it's just hard to get to that point though for a lot of people. Like, I think a lot of people just maybe this is it a bit. You think that people being chronically online like plays a big factor to this, of like people that just nonstop consume? Because I know that moments in my life where I just consume. I'm like, dude, I'm so depressed. I'm such a loser. And then it's like you stop consuming. You're like, yeah, I'm the man. What am I talking?
100%. I don't consume, because anytime I start to, I feel exactly like that. So then I realize, oh, this does not make me feel good. And it's making me, let me stop. So I don't consume anyone's shit, which is why I think my stuff is unique, because I'm just pulling from my own life. You know what I mean? Because you realize there's nothing to fucking consume. That's what people don't get. It's like every take that you're going to hear on the internet is one guy's style of how he's lived his life. And then his lesson served him for his goal based on his style. So you actually can't get fake wisdom anyway. So it's all just mental masturbation. And all you're going to do is fucking, because here's what nobody gets either, is like everyone has their own style. So then if Drew puts a take out on the internet and I go, oh, that's really cool, and then I try to be Drew and play Drew's game, I'm never going to be good as Drew, because Drew's Drew. Drew's the best at being Drew. But if I go, oh, that's interesting, and then I just still be Grant, well, I can always be Grant the best. No one can beat me at that. So people, like, how they naturally are, they don't realize that's the fucking gift. Because they think, oh man, it's just little me, I'm fucking nobody. But like, that guy is cool, but that guy feels how you do, bro. He's just doing more shit. He's just done it longer. So people don't realize literally how they feel inside all the time is how everyone else fucking feels all the fucking time. And once you just realize that and accept it, you realize there's nothing wrong with you. You just are trying to like play other people's games, and that's what makes you depressed. Like, me trying to be Drew will make me depressed. Me trying to be John would make me fucking depressed. But me being Grant, that makes me feel amazing. But they don't believe that what they like is like valid, and they don't believe like what they like is the fucking thing, So it's like, oh, like I'm drinking, this is like liquid IV or whatever, and they taste good. So I'm like, okay, I'll buy these, right? Some other guy would be like, oh, you're a pussy for, like, internet take. You're a fucking pussy for, like, dude, I catch strays on these takes all the time, and I just think, interesting take. You just don't take shit personally, But then once you get there, you realize, like, the whole I'm behind thing is just retarded. Because, like, I'm seeing shit like, well, I'm behind because I don't have a starter house. And it's like, you're saying you're behind because you're not $300,000 in debt? Like, you're an idiot. Or whatever it is.
Yeah, dude. What was you said a little quote in there. I got to put this in the intro of the pod. What was it? I forget now. Something in the middle of there, though, resonates so hard, because it's like, I saw you, coming up and doing this stuff, and I'm like, oh, I probably won't ever talk to that guy. And then I saw that, like, you were interacting with Brute or whatever. Brute was somebody, everybody looks up to on the internet. But I'm like, wait a second. Brute talks to Grant. Grant talks to me, and then I've been on a call with Grant, and he's just a normal dude. He's not like, he didn't glisten when he got on the call of like, he wasn't Jesus. You're just a normal dude talking. Yep. Then you realize like all these people are human. I think you put people on pedestals. Like, everybody does this. Of, like, they just are something I'm not. It's like Conor McGregor, all these guys, they're just dudes like you. They feel the exact same way, no matter how famous or rich or anything they are.
Yeah, you got to kill like all hero worship, because it's just dudes. And then eventually you feel like that with the greats of the world. So like famous philosophers, scientists, Einstein, people that have created these things, you realize they're just fucking people that just created stuff the best that they can. And so the myth of who they are gets, it becomes a myth that's bigger than humanity, but the person is a person. So people, they think these people are built different. It's the same fucking people. I mean, I think, was it Jobs? Jobs had the quote, and he was like, you eventually realize everything that you see around you was created by people no smarter than you. That's what it is. And then you just you use your own life experience as your own wisdom, and you can kind of say that. Because I didn't know people would want to listen to anything I had to say. And I was just like, oh, here's what I did that fixed this for me. And people love it on the internet. And you're like, oh shit, that my life, what was so obvious to me is all my power. But you have to see that. Because eventually, you're like, oh, I'm going to try to be the others, be like these other people. But you realize, ironically, you trying to do that is getting you farther away from the confident aura that you want. It's like you only get the aura when you say, fuck everybody. I'm just going to do it naturally as me doing me. And I'm going to love that for the perfection that it is. And then you get a little fucking aura edge. You get a little, But yeah, it's just regular people. And then also these people think they're perfect. No, they literally have monstrous issues.
Yeah, most of the time more than they would probably have.
That's why they're super successful, because they have really things are fucking wrong in their head,
Yeah,
that's just how
it's an interesting concept. I feel like everybody just goes and sees these people and just worships, but yeah, it's just as simple as you make it.
Yeah, their brain wants to project whatever it is, but you got it. That's fake. What's real is just a random fucking guy. Yeah, that's probably done something longer than whatever we've done, or whatever it is.
Well, more of a basic question now. I'm wondering, what do you think is the best business model for people to start right now? Because for context, this podcast is a lot of Amazon listeners, people that sell on Amazon, but I don't sell anymore. And John's cutting it down a lot. So a lot of people probably are going to follow. They follow us because they're probably trying to follow, what are they going to do next? Or what are they going to do? From everything you've seen, given the experience of, they haven't ran info. They don't have a social media following. They just have sold on Amazon the way that, I have and stuff. What would you recommend people to do? And I know that it's very personal based and stuff, but just what's your feel for things right now?
Yeah, purpose. So that would be the punchline. It's I would start with, what do you want your life to look like? And then find a business model that fits that. What is the day-to-day of the business like? And is that something that you like to do? So the reason I'm creating the program now is because that is what I believe. If you're the personality type for that, would be the best thing. It's grab the phone, start ripping. Here's a product. Fucking get it, because that's cash. It's what I wish existed a while ago, but no one has created it. So that's why I'm doing that. So in my head, that's a great one. I know a bunch of people that have success with Amazon. There's everything fucking works, literally. So it's just, what do you want your life to look like? What do you want to do? I think, but I will add a caveat to that, which is a lot of people, they worry about everything being perfect too early. So it's some dude DM me, he's like, I want to make money, but I don't want to do this or this or this or this. And I'm like, bro, I think you're a little too early to be adding conditions to any of this. You have no fucking clue what you're talking about. So get grind, learn the skills, because people don't realize it. When you start, the business model actually doesn't fucking matter, because you just need to learn how to become the person that can make $1. And 90% of that is just becoming the type of person that can stick to something longer than than 2 weeks. And to find an obstacle and to get around it. If you can become that guy, you can make any business model work. But people aren't that guy. So if someone's like, oh, what business model do I start? Literally, it doesn't fucking matter. Just make $1 from it. And then once you make $1 from it, you can literally make 100,000 from it. But it starts with that first dollar. Because people think, oh, I could make $1, but I can't make 100,000. Well, no, it's literally the same thing, bro. It's the same thing, just done more times. That's it. There's no boogeyman stopping you. So people just ask themselves, how can I creatively make $1 tomorrow? That ironically would help them make 100,000, but they won't ask themselves that question. So, because I've never personally done Amazon, so I can't say Amazon or not. But the BizOp I'm launching, I think is great, because it's just talk and get paid. So
are you promoting people? I'm not going to ask too many details, but you push them to a physical or a info product?
It's all info. So all digital.
You're pushing the people. So it's like MLM style.
Not really MLM, but the design is similar, I would say.
Well, I joined a marketing program, and he was like, that's the best business model, is some kind of MLM is the top. That's why it keeps working.
Yeah, the problem with MLM is you're getting paid to recruit. This isn't really that.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not the same. But I don't have anything against MLMs at all. Yeah. I mean, the whole insurance industry kind of is MLM-y anyway. So you're at the top, you got this guy getting paid, he's in the IMO, he's getting a fee from the top. So, but I mean, anything works. So what I wouldn't probably do is I wouldn't do e-com. honestly. And I wouldn't do, if I'm starting out, I wouldn't do ecom and I wouldn't do trading. Ecom, you need money. Unless you're doing like TikTok affiliate. So that's what I would probably just do. I mean, just grab content and sell something. That's honestly for a beginner what I would do, because all you got to learn is content, and that's it. So like I would say TikTok affiliate, my program when it comes out would be very easy. Trading I wouldn't do because you won't make money with it unless you have money. So like, because that's, dude, the learning curve on that's like 3 years. So people don't get, like, that is the worst. It's sold as beginnery because it's so flashy, but it's like, that's the worst possible fucking one. Copywriting is a good first step. Any service-based business is a great step. But then you got to learn, how to package a product, how to package a service, how to price it. You're going to have to learn the fucking skills anyway. So that's why it's just any model. Do you agree with that, or how do you feel about?
Yeah, it's personality based, and I actually recommend people not to do the e-com stuff too, just because I did it, and like I've been like playing with this concept of like exponential growth possibility in the business. So like I took your program, and like technically your specific program didn't work for like what the goal of the program was, but in turn I made a ton of money because of the concepts of the program and the model. Like there's no way I could make that much money if I was on Amazon because I didn't have enough inventory. So I think there's some about like uncapped growth, and like you can get lucky and make a ton of money. That's something that I haven't like heard a lot of people talk about, but it's like when you limit the amount of money you could even possibly make, that's a huge issue. And a lot of this stuff today, the content, the info, you can literally make unlimited money as long as you get enough eyeballs. But if you have certain things that are like trading and stuff, you're capped by certain things. So that's the only caveat I would put on it. But that's just something that I want to articulate that better. But I feel like nobody talks about it online of like,
nobody does. Yeah, the program that I have is basically you grab a phone, start recording, you sell info products. That's it, just with Instagram. So like anybody can do that. You just have to learn how to construct a sales argument and how to set up a fucking profile. So that skill of learning how to make a sales argument will serve you literally for the rest of your life. Like if you're selling e-com, if you're doing anything, like you just have to learn how to fucking sell. That punchline. That's it. Or else you'll never make $1. So but then when it comes to like e-com, I mean, my first thing was e-com. So that's what I started with when I was in college. But I didn't want to do all the Shopify bullshit. So I just ordered a bunch of leggings and like gave it to sorority chicks. So like, because I was like, how can I just make $1? That made me, I think, a couple grand from doing that. And then I just stopped doing it because I like took the money and just, got drunk more. But yeah, but I just tell people, I'm like, pick any business model that you think would serve the lifestyle you want to live. And then like, just don't quit until you make $1. Because what happens is as you go to make that first dollar, pay attention to when you think you want to quit, because that is going to show you what you don't know. And if you can solve that problem, you're going to acquire that little key. Then you go to the next problem that you don't know how to solve, and you keep solving those problems until that first dollar is made. Because like the path is going to give you all the fucking answers. They're like, I don't know what to work on. We'll just try to make $1, and reality is going to show you what to work on, because it's where you get stuck. Like if they view it more objectively, then it doesn't matter what they fucking work on. But then a lot of people, I think, do stuff that they don't even want anyway. So it's like, whatever that, it could be college or it could just be a business model that they hate. I mean, it's kind of what John said. He's like, yo, I did all this stuff and I actually don't even like it. So it's like, okay, awesome. But you probably learned a ton.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, you'll never not have that knowledge now. And then here's the crazy part is like, let's say, John, you just pivoted into a new business model completely. That wasn't even Amazon. The fact you did all that stuff, you have a knowledge database now that gives you kind of an edge, because if no one's done that, they can't see the world like you get these edges by doing shit. So it's like you just got to do shit. That's how you win. That's how you can be creative.
Yep. What else you got, John?
What's been your favorite offer you ever done, and what offer have you made the most on, and why do you think it was so successful?
Yeah. Favorite one was probably the social one, honestly, because we would just go party and I was getting paid for that. And like the guy, I mean, a lot of people had crazy success, so that was fun. Dude, I've done a lot of offers. Probably the one that drew in I liked the most, I would say, as far as like, because I mean, nobody basically like, it's just a crack, which ironically that program is a version of the new program.
Yeah.
I kind of normified it. But like, it's such a good, you just learn to sell and you can learn content. It's kind of, you can do whatever you want. You know what I mean? So that's kind of it. So that one's amazing. And then what was the question? My favorite one.
How much did you make from that? If you don't mind saying.
Yeah, no, that was, I won't throw numbers around. That one was good. So like, I mean, the goal was to do 100K in a month, no employees. We did that. That was like pretty easy. And then I have other offers that I've ran in the background too that have done multiple hundred thousands a month as well. Because we basically, you have two options. You can run content or you can go like paid. You can do like little front end liquidation offer and run that up on the back end as well. And so it depends how you want a webinar, sales team, whatever. There's a million fucking ways. And I had to try every single one. And then Webby's probably my favorite. But I mean,
it fits you a lot
so,
too.
Yeah,
I feel like you get on there riffing for 2 hours is probably like
100%. I mean, that's like up my alley. Yeah. I would say favorite offer probably, dude, it's probably the social one. I think it's the answer. Just because like I was already partying anyway. So like when that first $7,000 hit and it was in a club, like that was fucking kind of crazy, bro. That made me be like, holy shit, that's insane.
Yeah.
So are you also a question, Joe? So you're any info or just straight up trading now or?
Straight up trading right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I stole actually, like as soon as Trump got elected, I was like, I'm shutting all this info stuff down.
Okay.
I don't know. I just kept playing and I'm like, this just, none of this feels right yet. So I just started doing the crypto thing. It's fun too. I love it because I don't know, man. It's just something about it. And I feel like I'm decent at it. Like I'm getting a really good intuition now. Like I've made all the money I've made's been in the last 3 weeks. So like, yeah, I'm getting good at it now.
Money.
But yeah, it's fun.
That is a nice part too. Is you can kind of turn it on and off with the info stuff because it is like perpetually hunting. So which is the downside and the upside, you know? Like where's the next deal coming from? So
see, I'm gonna take a lot of this advice in the future of just like what I want to do next. I feel like you do have to just make it around your lifestyle, and it's hard to kind of see that, especially from a perspective. I feel like when I was broke, it was easier. Now that I've got money, I'm just like, what do I do now? Because like making $3,000 a month or like making little bits, just I don't care. Like it doesn't really do anything for me. So I got to make something big, but I don't see the big thing. It's a little bit difficult.
Yeah. So no one talks about that either. Basically, like if you get out of survival mode and then you have enough cash to like fund the lifestyle that you want to live, and you don't like the business, that transition is very interesting. And I see people get stuck in that for like way too fucking long, but I don't really know if there is an answer out of it. You know what I mean? Because it's like because my whole goal was lifestyle the whole time. I was like, I just want to be able to go wherever I want, make as much as I want without thinking about prices, total freedom, right? And then you get there, and then like stuff does become a downside because then it's like, okay, well, if let's say you have 600,000 in your bank account, like is 650 really going to do that much? Probably not. But then do you want $1 million in your account? Let's say the answer is no. Why are you doing it? There literally might not be an answer, and then you're like, well, fuck, I'm just going to not do anything, you know? Or it's like, let me figure out what I want to do. But that is a huge part of it, is finding a lane that you want. I mean, that is the skill that no one talks about. It's like, what do you want? And then how are you going to fucking find how that will fit well with how you want to make money? I mean, that's kind of it. And then maybe sometimes in your life, you just want to run up a fucking bag and you don't really give a shit. Like that was me when I started, right? I'm like, I don't really give a fuck. I'm just going to make a bunch of money. And then I was doing, a bunch of design with the business anyway. But it's like all these problems that no one fucking talks about that you just have to be like, this is actually a huge goddamn issue. So like crashing out with the clients, you make your first little bag and now it's like, what the fuck do I do? Like these are issues that no one ever talks about, that everybody goes through, that no one just says is a thing. Because like they're like, oh yeah, I actually have that fucked with me for a long time, but then there's no answer to it or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I guess because most of the content's beginner friendly. So it's like people probably have already turned this off. They're just like, what? These guys are just ranting about like success problems. That is kind of annoying. But like, I mean, eventually you want to get there. So this will be valuable to people in the future for sure.
100%.
I have a question about content and stuff. We're an hour and 30. We won't keep you too much longer, but dude, this has been good. So on content and that type of stuff, it seemed like this is what amazed me like the most, is you could get people up here that were clearly horrible at content and write them a script and they would just get 10x the views with like nothing changed except for you writing them this stuff.
Yeah.
So how do you look at that kind of thing? And like, how do you, I don't know, just manufacture this like really good content constantly?
I mean, just direct response. So like literally what John was doing is just direct response. That's all it is. So you just have to understand what gets people's attention. So basically you need direct response frameworks. You need to know direct response so well that's in your soul. That's kind of step one. Like I had started with direct response. I mean, dude, literally it sounds cheesy, but I did it. The fucking like handwrite the boring letters or whatever. I saw like the dude told me that at 18. I was like, okay. So I did all that, but I didn't even know why I was doing it. I just was like, fuck it, I'll do it anyway. And then was writing copy, doing all that stuff. But then you just kind of learn like how to write a hook. And then you become cognizant of like, okay, because when I make a video, I'm literally watching the video from the viewer's eyes as I make it. So like I could start ranting and be like, it's too fucking long, restart. Or I could, and now I can like feel the sharpness of sentences. So I could say something and be like, that didn't really hit, and I could redo it. So you kind of get these like, use more. I mean, I've done thousands of videos now, but it's like you just got to make time to value. So it's like, what is valuable to the viewer, and can you deliver it very quickly? And so the discrepancy is what the person thinks is valuable to the viewer. Actually, they don't give a fuck about it. But if you actually give them what is valuable, then they'll watch the fucking video because they're extremely selfish, and they want what they want delivered right now. And if you can't give them that, they're not going to watch your shit. So you have to completely get out of your own mind, and it's completely about who's watching it. That's it. And then attention. So it's like, I could start a video. I got like this caprice, right? This shit, Italian shit. If I made a video and this is on my shoulder, so like just a pattern interrupt. So it's just kind of knowing psychology of people and then using that in the video. Because you'll see these videos and it's like your hook sucks, right? You're not saying anything for the first 20 minutes. And then like no one has any idea what you're talking about. So that's an easy fix. It's like, okay, let's put a tighter hook on it. But then what happens is you make like thousands of videos, and then I call them demand islands. You just kind of know what people are interested in because it's just finite stuff. Relationships, make more money, or like gossipy stuff. Like the man woman, like Ben, Bader does the skits or whatever. So like that's relationships, man women. It's in like a joke format, but it's the same lane. How did Tate get big? Male female dynamics, right? So a lot of these accounts go up in the male female dynamic lane just because that's relatable to everybody. So it's like people give a shit about relationships, but that's one of the things that they care about. So then you just put the video where those things are because people don't know anything, and they don't know direct response, right? Because it's like, I'm going to show you how to eat a taco today. It's like, well, you already told me what the video is, So like if I don't want to eat a taco, I'm not going to watch it. You know what I mean? But if I was like, I'm going to make a taco using just jelly beans. Now it's like, what the fuck? But now it's more interesting. So it's just basic direct response.
And where you would say like you put a hoodie on backwards, you like wouldn't shave certain parts of your mustache and stuff. And I was like, dude, there's no way that stuff works. And then I'm like,
no, dude,
it does work. You see it all the time.
I had one that was like, this one got like 1 million, but I was in my car and I said, the one man practices 1,000, one kick 10,000 times, that quote. And I think it's a Bruce Lee quote, but I said Jackie Chan. And the whole comment, like on purpose, and the whole comment section was like, it's fucking Jackie. And the video goes viral. So it's like these little stupid, that's TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Kind of funny.
You still post on there a lot?
No, not really. I go hard if I'm like selling something. And then if not, I'll throw up something every once in a while. I'm going to get back on the content horse in a bit. But yeah, because I feel like I wanted to learn it. And I feel like I learned it, Yeah. So it's like, if it's not paying me, it's like, oh, whatever. Unless I feel like I want to drop something.
What's your content process?
There really is none. So like literally it's just when I feel inspired to post, I'll do it. Like that's it. But then the difference though is like I am just a hyper creative person that has to create. So that's kind of the discrepancy I think between me and a lot of people where it's like I can't not create. Like I just always, that's been my oxygen. I have to do it. And so some people are like, well, how do I make, and it's like that would be like me asking, well, how do I do like it's like op shit. Like I would really have to force myself to do all that, but creating, I like have to, because people are like, how do you tweet so much? It's like, I can't not write, So there is like literally no process other than I just wake up, feel like I want to drop something. I just drop it, And then if I'm promoting something though, then you got to play to the algorithm. So like Twitter right now is like TikTok, but written word. So then I have like 3 viral formats I know go off every single time. And then I'll tie in the lesson to pitch the thing. And then it just fucking, I'm getting like 100K a tweet.
It's helped you, that new algorithm. I said this a while ago. I was like, Twitter definitely changed because I could see my engagement just dropping. I'm like, I think it's like TikTok.
It's exactly like TikTok. So your followers don't matter at all. Yep. It's just standalone bangers. And if this bangs, you will get views. So like everyone was complaining, oh, my views died. It's because like you think it's 1-to-1. So like they think, oh, I have 100,000 followers. I make an Instagram post. It goes to 100,000 people. The only 1-to-1 channel left is email. Because you send an email, they'll fucking see it. Every other algorithm now is the opposite. It's pure discover. But like I already did TikTok, so I can play. Like I can get. I'm getting more views on Twitter than I almost did on like TikTok. Like I'm getting like 100K a post if I want to. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, you're probably the first person to say it. A lot of people are like, all my stuff's down all the time. And I'm like, yeah,
No,
I
'cause
think it's changed, but
can't
yeah.
TikTok it. Dude, when that webinar was promoting it, I literally throw 2 out. I had 2 going viral as it was going, and I got like 400 people to the Webby off 2 tweets in the moment. Like it was like a
Jeez.
fucking viral flywheel, and like so. And it was bad because I started spamming the shit out of the chat, but it was working really well though. The tweeting. So yeah, totally like TikTok. But then what's the actual tweet? Well, it's good hook, and then like good insight tied into sales pitch. I mean, that's it, right? That's how we all make money with content.
Yep.
Easy.
Well, anything else, John?
I think we covered it all. I mean,
I got one more thing. What would you title this YouTube video?
This YouTube video, I have
Let's
no
go.
idea.
You're the master, man. what would you make it? Include your name too, because your name has some value. Probably.
No, you don't need the name. I would just go because I think YouTube now is similar, right? So nobody would know. I don't think my name. I'm trying
You
to
don't
think
think so?
what we talked about. I mean, my name might pull like 500 views. I don't think I'm not.
We only get like 200 to 400 a thing.
Okay. Well, I mean, you could like. It's a long video too. What do we talk about? I would say like I'd probably use. So in my brain, I go, what is the most relatable thing that we talked about? Probably the fucking I feel behind. So I'd probably use that. So I'd say like, and then personally, I would put a little. I'd say like why feeling behind is a waste of time, or I'd say like why feeling behind is fake. Right? I'd probably something like that, and I'd like probably clip it. The first clip would be me saying something like that, and then intro, and then you go into it. Probably do something like that.
I'll put my spin on the thing, or me and John will put our spin on. We'll see how it performs. Because I feel like on YouTube, we've noticed this recently. Because all these podcasts are the same length, that it's like, dude, we talk about 9,000 things. It's not like you can put one, but the title and the thumbnail is like huge. Like every time it's a bad video, it's usually just a bad. Bad title.
See, I haven't really dove into the. I'm gonna dive into the YouTube game, but I had a friend. They had a pretty small channel, and they were like, "Yeah, dude, we just started dropping like hooky titles and." Like it's TikToked. That's basically what he said. Everything got TikToked. So it's like hard discover, not really subs, which kind of sucks. So, I mean, it depends. If you can get them on email, it's good. But it's like, okay, I spent 3 years building this up and now nobody sees it. Kind of, whatever. But email's good.
Well, this was awesome. You got any parting words for the people?
Just whatever you want to do, just fucking do it. You can just do things. It's like you have all the tools necessary. It's like, oh, I don't know how to do it because you haven't done it yet. So like, just fucking think like, what life do I want to live? And just fucking fix your energy. That's the big one. Like people don't understand. It is literally all energy. So it's like, if you don't have energy, you got to get fucking energy. Punchline. So like, what is draining your energy? Cut that out of your life. So that might be a difficult conversation with your family. It might be some, but like, you got to get the poison drips away. And then once those are gone, then you just do shit. That's really it. So fucking, what do you want? Fix your energy. Go. And then you can, because now you can become a millionaire in like 3 years. Back in the day, it was like 7. That was the whole thing. Oh, a millionaire in 7 years. Now, if you run up a bag on the internet, bro, you can hit millionaire in like fucking 3-4 years max. You can speed run that shit, but you got to start getting in the game.
And where can people find you on social?
Instagram, Grant Lannon. Twitter is Retirement Keys. I think I haven't changed that. Yep. Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody like, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed. See you on the next episode.
Thanks for having me on, boys.
Yeah. Peace out, guys.
Peace.